Welcome back, everybody. Rustbelt Rundown, back for another week. It is Monday, November 3rd. Big things happening in Week 9. Excited to break it down with my guy, Paul Adamczak. Paul, how you doing?
Good, man. How are you doing? Happy to be here.
I'm good. Listen, sometimes, I get why teams take a bye, right? I always hated the bye week, especially because I'm a big fantasy football nerd. Drives me crazy. I got to find a replacement for this, that, or the other thing. But after taking a couple this semester, you could tell I'm in academic mode. After taking a couple bye weeks this week, especially last week, I'm refreshed. I'm ready. We got a lot of stuff we're going to get into tonight.
A lot of stories, a lot of football that's happened, a lot of things that have taken place since we last convened in this arena.
Yeah, a lot of good, a lot of weird, a lot of bad, a lot of stuff that we're gonna dive into. I was just trying to pull up some other news that happened just a little bit ago that I forgot to even put in the rundown. So, you know what, dude? Go ahead.
Go for it. No, go for it. I was going to ask you what am I missing?
No.
We're 30 seconds into the podcast already. You're like throwing curveballs at me here.
Well, I was going to go ahead and pull all of the Dolphins trade made within the last week, but there's too many. That would take all night to unpack all those. But no, just pulling some receiver stuff. Unless you missed Jalen Phillips this morning, no, you're good.
Okay, good. No, I saw that one. I saw that one coming, and I saw that this morning.
No, just pulling some wide receiver news because we're going to be talking a lot of wide receivers later into the show.
I feel like, yes, I agree.
No, go. You're good. I mean, we're gonna talk some news. We're gonna recap Steelers, Bills, but we're gonna end the show with a fun segment we've done before back in the flagship days, and that's really just kind of looking at the trade deadline is tomorrow, right? So, what are some trades that we want to see happen in the Rust Belt before we get to that trade deadline? So, yeah, dude, a lot of stuff to get into. Let's go ahead and jump into the news. And let's start with a bit of a downer, right? And we had some injury news, big injury news happen over the weekend. Starting with Commanders quarterback Jayden Daniels. Finally came back, had a great game last night, but just oh my gosh, if you saw the clip, it's horrifying. Dislocated left elbow, so it's his non-throwing hand, or his arm. MRI today, expected to miss several games, which is crazy. When you watch that video, you're like, even though it's his non-throwing hand, you're like, dude's never playing again. It looked awful, but it'll be interesting to see if he does make it back, if the Commanders can hold it together for a postseason run. I don't know. They got bit with the injury bug as well. And then let me list
the only one that went down yesterday.
Yep, so we got Packers tight end Tucker Kraft, who was really having a breakout year this year. Tore his right ACL, confirmed. That was confirmed by an MRI today. Out for the season, looked really good. Sticking on the Commanders side, Marshawn Lattimore tore his ACL. He's out for the season. Texans quarterback C.J. Stroud is in concussion protocol. Going back to the Commanders again. Why I didn't loop those all together, don't ask me. Luke McCaffrey broke his collarbone, out for the season. Let's stick with the Commanders for a second because you're looking at Jayden Daniels, Tucker Kraft, Jayden Daniels, Marshawn Lattimore, Luke McCaffrey. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on Terry McLaurin. Can't seem to get healthy this year.
Right, he's out. He came back. He's out again.
Their healthiest wide receiver is Deebo Samuel, and that's saying something.
Deebo is not known for his health.
Is this too much for the Commanders to overcome to stay put together enough to make some sort of playoff run?
Yeah, the playoffs are going to be tough. They play in a tough division. They're not going to win the division, and the other teams are kind of on a come-up. So I watched the Marcus Mariota game. I think the last one before Daniels came back. He's not terrible. I mean, you're talking about a Heisman Trophy winner. The guy calling the plays likes a dual threat quarterback at the helm. Mariota's been around a while. It's not an accident that he's still in the NFL.
Right.
Heady guy can make plays. So I don't think they're dead in the water. I think their dreams of the number one seed in the NFC are completely gone. I think the 7th seed is basically kind of what they're going to hope and reach for right now. Hope that Jayden Daniels is able to come back, but I'm not calling them completely out, dead in the water, because they do have a good play caller and a capable backup quarterback, but they're a 500 ball club at this point at best. So does that keep them in it? I don't know. What does the math look like in the NFC?
Rough. Sticking with that injury news, Tucker Kraft, like I said, that's a huge one. Stroud within concussion protocol. This is just, this is that time of year where, actually, not even just this year, it seems like every year, yes, you have to have talent to be able to make it to the playoffs, but sometimes it just seems like who can stay the healthiest is going to make it.
Amen, brother. Amen, brother. The deepest teams are the ones that make it to the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's just kind of the way it goes. That's why the NFL draft is so important, making sure that those late round picks, those guys can contribute when they need to.
Yeah. Yep. Hey, the other way to stay relevant is to make some trades. And the Eagles, who are, I want to say that, are they the lead in the NFC standings? Overall standings?
Overall, I actually don't know. I don't think so. I think they've got 3 losses. Aren't they 5-3?
They're 6-2, tied with the 6-2 Bucks and Seahawks. So they're a 3-way tie.
Okay.
So they're sitting on top of the NFC. So they could very well they could think they're doing fine. They could be sitting still. They could be hanging out. But instead, we teased this a little bit ago. They sent a 3rd-round pick to the Dolphins and are getting back linebacker Jalen Phillips. And then earlier, just a few days ago, they traded for Jair Alexander from the Ravens for essentially a 6-7 pick swap. They're loading up. I mean, it's not enough for them to be 6-2 and sitting on top of the NFC. They want to make sure that they're trading up and staying relevant as injuries are piling up. You're our resident Miami Dolphins fan, so what is this Jalen Phillips trade? What's your reaction to it, I guess?
My reaction is anytime Howie Roseman calls me, I am scared to pick up the phone because that guy fleeces more NFL GMs than anyone. He is, right now and for a long time, the gold standard for NFL GMs. So if he's on the other end of the line, I'm a little wary to begin with. They had a bunch of 3rd-round picks. They had 3. They still have 2 after the Jalen Phillips trade. I thought the Dolphins got fair value. I wouldn't have accepted anything less than a 3. Jalen Phillips was the 15th overall pick 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So trading a 1st-round asset into a 3rd-round asset, it's not great. He's had some injury history. And I've joked around with my Dolphins family for a long time. Jalen Phillips is, I'll say this, he started at UCLA, he's a California kid. Resurrected his career at the University of Miami, made it to the 1st round, stayed in South Florida. He is, by all accounts, a phenomenal human being. Not just like a guy who shows up at work and does his job, but a phenomenal human being on and off the field. I say that to say this. He leads the NFL since 2020 in almosts. In that he's in the backfield, he's got his hands on the quarterback, and you go, nope, the guy gets the ball off. It's happened 2 times this year where he's got his hands around a QB, doesn't make the sack of the QB, ends up making the end of the Chargers game. If he just doesn't miss, the Dolphins win that game. But he misses, and then it's a 45-yard pass to McConkey, and that gets him in field goal range, and they kick a field goal as time runs out. He leads the league in almost. I hope he does well for the Eagles. I think he's got more talent to work with around him there. I think he'll be a better system there, a little more consistent, better locker room, better culture, all of the above. I wish him well. That said, I'm happy the Dolphins get a 3rd-round pick for a guy who just calling a guy a bust is hard because he wasn't terrible. He was not worth a 15th overall pick.
Sure, yeah, and that happens. I mean, you're still getting value, right? He's still maybe worth a 3rd-round pick, or should have been a 3rd-round pick.
It's a top 100 pick, which I like.
Right. So the Dolphins, even with the letting go of GM Chris Greer, who you've been banging the drum on that for a long time ago.
Being gone, which is dead. Yeah.
He's gone, and they continue to make moves. So that's good to see they're not just, going to hold out for the new GM. They're still going to worry about rebuilding this team and setting a new GM up for success. So we'll see what happens.
He's on an expiring contract, so you
Makes
get
sense.
Something for him as opposed to losing him for nothing.
Yep, makes sense. Couple more quick news items, and this one is just, I think, a really cool story. Sam Darnold, we like to beat up on quarterbacks all over the place, and, guys like Baker and Darnold didn't really get a fair shake, but Darnold looked awesome last night. He went a perfect 16 of 16 passing in the first half and tied a franchise record with 17 consecutive completions to open up Sunday night's 38-14 hammering of the Washington Commanders. I feel like I'm beating up on the Commanders today, but Darnold finished 21 of 24 for 330 and 4 touchdowns, carried my fantasy team to a victory this weekend. I just think it's a really cool story, to pay attention to guys like Darnold and Baker, who were high-value draft picks that just kind of, maybe didn't get put in a good situation.
Yeah, the Jets are a good situation for nobody, and it's not lost on me that Baker and Darnold were on the same Panthers team at the same time for a year, and that Panthers team couldn't get anything out of either of those guys. No, I love it. Sam Darnold is one of my favorite quarterback prospects coming out, one of the best college quarterbacks I've ever watched. I'm glad he's finally not seeing ghosts, and the rest of the NFL can see really his talent.
Yeah. Yep. Here's a couple more fun ones. Jaguars kicker Cam Little sets the NFL record with a 68-yard field goal in the win over Raiders. Go ahead.
Popped a drug test this morning for him, too.
I was just going to say the same thing.
Yep.
That's convenient. Oh, let's hit a 68-yard field goal. And, I guess
totally
we better.
Random.
Yeah, totally random. Totally random. And then lastly in the news, just because I think it's worth talking about because of the AFC North shakeup, Bengals fall in a wild 47-42 shootout as Caleb Williams finds Colston Loveland in the final minute. This is just, stating the obvious, a bad Bengals defense. You have Joe Flacco who is just slinging it, which honestly makes the Browns look worse. But we'll talk about that later. But he is slinging it. He is getting. I don't remember who was reporting it in the broadcast. He had gotten a shot before the game and at halftime because of that AC joint. He's slinging it all over the place, and that defense. They had 16 seconds left in that game, or it was under a minute. Yeah, it was under a minute.
Yeah. The Bengals scored 15 points in a minute, and then give the other team 54 seconds. Okay, let me ask you this: did you see? I love conspiracy theories. Did you see that on 2 occasions before the end of that game, with seconds to go, before the score was 47-42, when it was still 42-41, the little ticker at the bottom of the screen, they were listing the injuries, and Darnell Mooney missed the rest of the game in the Bears win, and they have the score with the Bears losing 42-41, and they already called it the Bears win. So did you see this? Am I crazy?
No, I saw the tweet, but I didn't dive in. I kept scrolling. I missed out on that one.
All right.
But I saw it. It's kind of crazy. I mean, the script writers were out in full force. Mm-hmm. There was another one I saw. We'll talk about the Chiefs and Bills game, but there was another one that was late in the Chiefs-Bills game. Bosa had a direct shot to Mahomes and then pulled up. And he was like, I remember the script.
that one made a little more sense to me when I watched it. I saw the same thing, but I was kind of like, okay, well, he's trying to prevent the quarterback from doing the old heave-ho and then getting, because he can run. So I'm with him on that one. But
played the run there a little bit.
The scriptwriters are out. The FBI thing and the NBA, they got to be on lookout.
Oh man, that would be oh gosh, could you imagine that happening in the NFL? It would be insane.
Yes, I can actually.
Big Dom in Philadelphia. He's actually the ringleader.
Tom Brady's been pulling the strings the whole time.
Speaking of the scriptwriters, that's all I got in the news. Did I miss anything you wanted to hit?
No, you hit it all, dude.
Cool. All right, let's jump into our Rustbelt news, and let's start in with the Steelers. Steelers 27, Colts 20. In front of their Super Bowl XL championship team, the Pittsburgh Steelers turn back the clock and the AFC leading Colts with a 27-20 win at Acrisure Stadium. Pittsburgh's much criticized defense, and we were part of that as well, responded with a dominant 6-turnover performance that suffocated the league's top-ranked offense. Jim Wexell of Steelers.com noted that the Steelers shifted to an old-school 4-3 front. I want to get into that. That stifled the NFL rushing leader Jonathan Taylor, while Daniel Jones Jones 5 turnovers doomed Indianapolis and snapped its 7-game win streak. The victory moves Pittsburgh to 5-3, keeping them atop the AFC North. Let's start on the defensive side of the ball. The Steelers forced those 6 turnovers, 3 INTs, 3 fumbles, including the one on special teams. They had 5 sacks, a complete turnaround after allowing 30 points in 4 of their last 7 games. This is the game we have been waiting for out of this defense.
Yes.
The top paid defense in all of the NFL, and they were just giving up points left and right, not to mention making no pressure or getting very little pressure onto the defense. So when you have a literal funeral for the defense. Did you see this? They actually had Steelers fans in the parking lot held a funeral for the Steelers defense. When you have all of that going on, is this defensive performance a fluke, or is this maybe a true statement that the Steelers defense is back?
I think they finally used the personnel that they have and fit the defensive game plan to their personnel. It also helped that this was the Peyton Wilson that we saw at NC State. I feel like you called it a 4-3, and maybe that's what it was, but I saw a lot of 42, just base nickel, 5 defensive backs, 4 linemen, and 2 linebackers, and I feel like that's kind of where he excels because it's less of a run fit. You get him in a little more space, and he's a fast guy. He's got long arms, and he's always been a playmaker, and boy was he able to finally make plays in a style, in a system that I really think fit him well. Also helped that Cam Hayward came back from the dead.
Yes.
The funeral might have been held for him. The ghost of Cam Hayward was in the stadium yesterday. He looked 10 years younger. He had 2 batted passes on the first drive alone. The defensive backs got in it. Kyle Duggar played 72 of 73 snaps or something like that.
Yeah.
I had a question for you when I watched this game back. Joey Porter Jr., love him or hate him?
Man, I love him.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too.
I do. I love the kid. He makes some boneheaded plays. I think if he could figure out how to not get pass interference calls or holding calls, he would be an elite cornerback. He knows he is a great coverage player. He's just got to get his hands. He's got to keep his hands to himself, just like an elementary school kid. But to see him make that interception, and then honestly, I love the cutaway to his dad, Joey Porter, up in the stands wearing the Porter Jr. shirt and waving the town. It was awesome. But no, I love him. I think he has the potential to be one of the better quarters in the league. Okay,
I'm with you. I was talking to my wife. I said, "Listen, he's a Penn State guy, so I've watched him for a long time. Been a big fan, and he's always been the same way. He's the closest I could compare him to is Xavier Howard, and they're not the same player, but just very handsy, very aggressive. That it took a couple of years for him to learn how to use that aggressiveness and become a little more savvy with it in the NFL when you can grab versus when you can't.
Yeah.
Is he in his 3rd year or 4th year at this point, JPJ?
3rd, I believe.
We're at that point where it's you've made enough plays to warrant still being on the field, but we've really got to get rid of these negative plays because he is so boom or bust. I would rather just be a neutral nothing play than this. Listen, if I can't get the interception, I gotta bank a big mistake. But I'm with you. The juice is worth the squeeze. He makes a lot of plays, and he seems to make big plays. So I was just curious how you felt about him because, man, he can be frustrating.
No, he can be. He can be. And I think, weirdly enough, not that you'd really maybe thought of this guy as a mentor of any sorts, but I like having Jalen Ramsey kind of be a mentor to him right now. I think he can kind of maybe teach some of that physicality, but in like the way you're supposed to be physical, so I think that could be a big look. I did double check. Yeah, this is his 3rd year in the league. I also double checked. Yeah, this was right from the Steelers website in their game recap by Jim Wexell, who's listed as their Steelers correspondent there for the team. He wrote it down as a 4-3 defensive alignment, and I want to hit on that for a second. But so you said you saw a little bit of what'd you say, the 46?
I said like a 42, or
42.
Like a base nickel where you rack a safety and it looks like a 43.
Yep. And then you throw in the 4-3. And then I was also listening to the Around the NFL. Well, it used to be called Around the NFL. Now it's NFL Daily. And they were talking about how the Steelers made a noticeable switch to their percentage of playing zone defense in this one versus they had been playing man a lot of the year. So I just want to kind of settle in this for a second. So let's say they're switching to a 42 or a 4-3 defense. They're starting to switch to some zone. This is something that I have not seen in the Steelers for a long time, if ever, in a Mike Tomlin Steelers defense. We were just talking about this a couple weeks ago about what do you do with Tomlin? Do you stay? Do you go? Because he just doesn't make change. He tries to impose his will. So I don't know what happened, but move into the 42, the 4-3, or the more of a zone blitz scheme, whatever, the Steelers zone blitz of old, whatever he did to change it up, it worked. Watt had a strip sack and a recovery fumbled that really kind of cemented some of that early momentum in the game. So when you think about this shift, right, something we said the Steelers really couldn't do, and then you mentioned it too, rookie breakouts, linebacker Peyton Wilson. Wilson had 13 tackles and a forced turnover, I believe I saw. Wilson also got
an interception, and then he batted another one that I think Hightower ended up picking off.
No, it was that the one Sawyer intercepted?
Sawyer, yes, I'm sorry. Yeah. Defensive end from the other side. Yeah.
Yep. Rookie break. And I think Sawyer is why you go to the 4-3, right? You end up with Sawyer as one of the defensive ends. You move Hayward inside with Harmon and Keanu Benton, so maybe you move Hayward outside sometimes, and then you got Watt, Herbig, and Hightower. Like, that's how you're going to get pressure with this defense. You said it at the top of the segment. Use what you have. So how much credit with all of this defensive matchup? Peyton Wilson, by the way, I don't know if you saw this, he got randomly drug tested today as well.
I did see that, yeah. Sure.
How much credit for this defense in this game goes to that schematic shift versus emotional leadership from vets like Ramsey and Watt?
I will give you emotional leadership from TJ Watt. I take nothing from Jalen Ramsey with any degree of sincerity, to be honest with you. I mean, I'll take the plays, but I know what he's about.
Sure.
Jalen Ramsey's about Jalen Ramsey. So when he's good, everything's kosher. I think watching the game back, the turnovers are what won it for Pittsburgh. The offense was a little suspect. And if you watch, the whole first quarter was Colts.
Yeah.
Colts dominated the first quarter. It wasn't until 11 minutes to play in that second quarter and they had that punt that bounced off the chest of, was it Downs, I think the punt returner was, number 1. That kind of flipped the momentum a little bit. I also think, too, that when the Steelers, when a team, offense, defense, doesn't matter who, does something so dramatically different than the other team is expecting, there is a bit of surprise. We prepared for this. We expect to see this. They typically do this. And when you do something different, okay, you can catch teams off guard. And maybe that's what Pittsburgh needed to do against a 7-1 Colts team. Hey, let's try to throw something at them that they cannot prepare for. Now that it's on film, other teams are going to say, okay, this is what Pittsburgh's doing now. Here's the holes in this, blah, blah, blah. And next week it could be a complete travesty. But they deployed it at the exact right time. You got to win against a quality team. So I'll give credit where credit's due. They did what they needed to do against a quality opponent at home. Let's see if they can continue to make adjustments as the season rolls along.
So let's talk about the offense for a second, because I think they did well. I think when you think about all those,
bad.
No, but when you think about having 6 turnovers, I feel like you should have expected to win more than by 7 points.
Them out.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So they're maybe being efficient, right? I mean, the Steelers quarterbacks last year threw a total of 21 touchdowns. And when you compare that to this year, Rodgers already has 17. So, we're at about the halfway point of the season. They're throwing more. They're scoring more. Jaylen Warren looks really great.
I like the way he runs.
Me too. And so does this low-risk efficiency model of offense give Pittsburgh sustainable offensive identity, or is that too conservative to go against the likes of Kansas City, Buffalo, a revived Lamar Jackson in Baltimore?
I think especially with Buffalo and Kansas City, the two that you said there, you're going to have to play keep up because they're going to put points up. So I don't think conservatism is going to be the game plan when you're playing those teams. But I mean, when we're talking about the Colts, I'm pretty sure Pittsburgh was up 24-7, mid third, late third. So at that point, you're gonna play conservative. Why would you air it out? I think the slow start is more concerning than the slow finish. Once you have a 3-possession lead, the clock is the enemy. I'm
Sure.
as conservative as they come. 3 yards in a cloud of dust and punt it away, and make them take as many plays as possible just to keep running that clock. So that doesn't concern me. I think you're right. I think that they're going to need a little more juice if and when they get into that meaningful January football.
Yeah.
Which, do they have enough? I don't know. The team last year, you talked about 21 touchdown passes last year versus 17 already this year. This is a completely different offensive scheme. I mean, you can tell that Arthur Smith was doing nothing last year that he feels he's comfortable and capable of doing with a quarterback the caliber of Aaron Rodgers at the helm. And I don't know how much is Arthur Smith saying, this is my offense, tailoring to Aaron, versus how much Aaron is saying, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm good at. You brought me here, and this is what I'm doing. But I think that he's smart enough to know it doesn't matter if you win 42-6 or 27-20. A win is a win. Let's get to the next week.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. Speaking of next week, they head to L.A. to face the Chargers Sunday night. I think that's going to be a huge game. Can they we've seen
Chargers
Spurs
the same way. They're conservative. They do just enough to win. Jim Harbaugh is a great game manager. Justin Herbert is a great QB talent. He's not going to lose it for you. He may not be the best guy to go out and win it, but he doesn't make mistakes, and those teams are hard to beat if you can run the ball.
I just want to see if the Steelers can put two together, because we've seen the offense do well and the defense do bad. We've seen the defense do well and the offense do bad. Now we've seen it put together. Can they take this into SoFi and face a really tough Chargers team? We will see on Sunday night. Hey, we're going to get to the Bills here in a second, but before we do, let's check in with our sponsors. Today's episode is brought to you by Rebich Investments, keeping financial guidance simple. Whether you're just getting started with your first investment or planning for retirement, Rebich Investments is here to help you cut through the noise and focus on what really matters, your financial future. Their team makes it easy to understand your options and build a plan that works for you. For more information, visit www.rebichinvestments.com. That's rebichinvestments.com, or give them a call, 814-734-3333. 814-734-3433. Tell them Nick from Gem City Sports sent you. Rebich Investments, keeping financial guidance simple. All right, we're going to Buffalo. Buffalo Bills 28, Chiefs 21. The Bills extend their regular season dominance over KC with a 28-21 win at Highmark Stadium, marking their fifth straight regular season victory over the Chiefs. Josh Allen delivered a near-perfect outing, completing 23 of 26 for 273 yards, throwing for a touchdown and rushing for 2 more. Rookie cornerback Maxwell Hairston sealed the win by breaking up Pat Mahomes' final heave to the end zone as time expired. Buffalo's defense harassed Mahomes all afternoon, limiting him to a career-low 44.1% completion rate and forcing a late interception. I want to start on the defense, because the defense is where I thought the Bills were going to have a lot of problems in this one, okay? They were missing key defenders like Ed Oliver, Daquan Jones, but Sean McDermott's defense sacked Mahomes 3 times and hit him 15 more. How sustainable is this defensive pressure under Sean McDermott with such an injury-riddled team, Paul?
I don't know if it's going to be consistent, but I do think that there's always extra motivation when Buffalo and Kansas City play, especially for Buffalo, because Kansas City has had their number in the postseason. How many years Buffalo's last game of the year has come at the hands of the Kansas City Chiefs. So, they are big brother, and every time they face each other, there's that extra motivation, and McDermott is one of the best at We're going to say pregame speeches, getting a team up and ready to play. And I don't think it takes a whole lot of extra inertia to explain to these guys, this is the team that we play to beat. Like this is why you lift all them weights. Okay, this is the team you got to beat. And again, I mean, I look at it as, I don't want to answer a question you haven't asked yet, but the Bills beating the Chiefs in the regular season, I don't care.
Who cares?
I don't think the Kansas
No,
City
I'm
Chiefs
with
do
you.
either. That's fine.
Yeah,
We'll see you in January, Josh. We'll see if you can get it done then. I think
agree.
Andy Reid is such that I don't want to say he's toying with the Bills, but I don't think he shows his full hand when he plays them in the regular season. And why would you? We're going to probably see these guys again. I'm not showing you all the little wrinkles I have, all the holes I found in your team, so that when we exploit them in October, November, you can have them fixed by January. No. I'll save all those for the game that counts. That nice regular season win, it was fun. I'm sure the NFL made a lot of money off of it. Doesn't matter till January.
No, I think you're 100% right there. The defense just needed this, I think. And maybe it was a little bit of playing with them. Maybe it was an offensive line breakdown from the Chiefs. I don't know. But to get 15 quarterback hits on Mahomes, that's what you need to beat this guy. And you saw that from Philadelphia in the Super Bowl last year. Rush however many you need, but the bottom line is you got to get in this guy's face. And yes, you're right. I was picking on Bosa earlier. That's absolutely why Bosa pulled up, because he thought Mahomes was just going to run a quarterback dive right up the middle. So he played that very well. Unfortunately, Mahomes is Mahomes, and he made that deep pass. But you got to get in this guy's face. There was a point. What was it? What did they have? They had they still had. I'm pulling up the drive-by. They had 22 seconds at the end of the game. The KC did. The Bills were up 28-21. They missed that field goal, and there's 22 seconds left. And in my head, I'm thinking, I don't like this. Like, this is. I think KC's going to tie this and win it in overtime. I put it in our group chat for our fantasy football league, and then they end up winning the game. You're right. I'm not putting much stock into this game. That's great that they have the regular season record against the Chiefs, because the Chiefs are going to go, yeah, well, let's just go to our trophy room. Let's talk about this. But I will say, you expect Allen to be Allen, and we'll get to Allen here in a second. But I was encouraged by this defense that's been so banged up and saying, okay, what can they do? And they did hold this Chiefs offense in check, right? So,
yeah.
Yes, let's talk about the
obvious.
obvious.
It was nice to have Mad Max Hairston in the lineup. Had his first interception. We talked about it all spring long prior to the draft. This guy was a turnover machine in college, and he put it on display in his very first NFL action. So that's a big get for the Bills.
Yep. He could be a game changer for when they do face each other, if they do face each other again come playoffs. But I don't want to underscore.
Part of that is Pat Mahomes looking at that guy, and we know that the 4.22 and whatnot he ran at the combine. We haven't actually seen him play in person. You try to fit that ball into certain windows, and is that guy really that fast? Is he really going to break on the ball? He probably doesn't do it again. Okay, yeah, that dude with that much space, he can close that territory. We got to get a book out. You know what I mean? It's the same thing as the Steelers. Now that we know what you're doing, I've seen you. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm ready for you. I'm sorry, I wasn't familiar with your game. You know the old Shaq line?
Yeah, exactly. And the young guys picking up, because you have Hairston, and then you drafted Cole Bishop last year in the second round as well. He had 4 pass defenses in this game. So, yes, Buffalo is going to need these young guys on defense to step up if they have a chance to do this, repeat this performance again in coming up into the playoffs. And the other guy that's going to need to keep that performance up is Allen. Yes, you expect Allen to put on some extra mustard in this game. He, like I said earlier, was 23 of 26, 3 total touchdowns, 2 rushing, 2 passing, an 88.5 completion percentage. Is this version of Josh Allen, and we've seen this all year, poised, efficient, mistake-free, runs when he has to, runs with purpose, isn't just slinging the ball into triple coverage to try and sling it. Is this the most dangerous Josh Allen has ever looked in his career?
100%. 100%. He's playing ideal Joe Brady football, and like you said, he's efficient. They move the ball around through all. They don't have any specific high-end targets, okay, skill position players, but they utilize them all, top to bottom, 5 receivers, 3 tight ends, couple of running backs. And, it doesn't hurt that this is easily the best run game Josh Allen has had in his career. I thought, and I was on record, I thought the James Cook contract, I thought they overpaid him a little bit. He has lived up to that dollar amount at least this year.
I was wrong too.
It's good for the Bills. Yep, it's good for the Bills. Joe Brady finally got that fixed. And Josh Allen is any quarterback, doesn't matter the name, is more dangerous when they have a solid run game. And when you have a guy who didn't need a run game to be as dangerous as he was, now that he has one, look out.
Yep.
Look out.
Yep. And I think maybe they finally found their wide receiver 1, Dalton Kincaid, 6 for 101 and a touchdown. Kincaid looked great. This is what they drafted that guy to be.
Yep.
And, Keon Coleman is still not breaking out.
They had a good pass catcher in Dawson Knox, and then they went and got Kincaid. So that tells you what they feel about him.
Exactly. Shakir was 7 for 43. Like, they're still not. Keon Coleman is still falling apart. Not falling apart. He was fine, but he's not stepping up and being that game changer that I think they had hoped he was being. So, how sustainable is this Allen performance, or even let's take it broadly? How sustainable is Buffalo's success on offense if their wide receivers continue to underperform, or does Allen just make that all irrelevant?
I think it's a combination of Allen and Brady. I think Brady is so good at utilizing different guys' skill sets, creating mismatches. Keon Coleman isn't a burner, but he is gargantuan and has a huge catch radius and excels in 50-50 balls and short area throws. Khalil Shakir is not going to outmuscle anybody. You said he had 7 for 43. That's 6 yards a catch. I mean, is that first down, second down? I mean, he's just, listen, there's a little bit of space over the middle. We need a guy who can shake free for a half a second. We got an offensive coordinator who can scheme that, and we got a quarterback who can deliver. Everybody becomes dangerous when everybody eats because you don't, as a defense, know who to lock onto. Yep.
Tonight's game withstanding, you got the Pats at 7-2. You got the Bills at 6-2. So the Pats are still leading in the AFC in the AFC East. You got Indy at 7-2 now. Denver's at 7-2. Man, if Denver could figure out how to play 3 quarters instead of 1, they'd be a pretty dangerous team. But okay, so the Bills take down Baltimore, KC in the same season. They had a little bit of rough patch there in the beginning, losing those 2 games to the Patriots and then to the Falcons. But you have the Chiefs are now down to 3rd in their division at 5-4. Baltimore is still sitting at 3-5. I get New England is ahead of them in the AFC East, but is Buffalo the team to beat in the AFC right now? Or would you give that to the Pats?
I would not give it to the Pats. I've seen the Pats. I'm not saying they're pretenders. I'm just saying their schedule
has been good.
They're beating all the 1-win teams. And listen, they're winning games you're supposed to win. They escaped with a victory against the Falcons yesterday, but again, a win is a win.
Yep.
I don't think they're the team to beat. I think they are ascending faster than I would have imagined, probably would have hoped for, but they're not there yet. They're at least a year, I'd say at least 2 years away, but they're going to make things interesting. I still think the Bills are the team to beat as of right now, today, November 3rd. Yeah. Ask me again on January 1st.
Yeah, I agree. Give Baltimore some time to come back. I still think Baltimore's going to be on a tear for the rest of the year. Their schedule looks really, really good. We'll see. Buffalo heads to Miami this Sunday, 1:00 game on CBS. Let's see if they don't fall into another trap game against Miami.
I was going to say, I have no faith in the Dolphins, but this would also be the most Dolphins thing ever.
Yep.
To win this game. Hey,
we're
trading off everything and tanking for the rest of the year. Hey, let's just go beat the Bills one time.
Yeah, exactly.
I probably won't even watch the game. It'll be one of those that I'm not watching that. It's going to be 40. If I watch, it'll be 48-3 Buffalo. If I don't watch, you'll see the Miami Miracle 2.0.
Yep. Why not? We'll see. All right. Well, the Browns were on a bye, so we don't have much to catch in there. Penn State may as well be on a bye, so I'm not even going to touch on Penn State this week. They played a great first half against Ohio State. I was texting with a friend of mine who's a big Ohio State fan earlier in the week, and he was nervous about the game. I said, what are you nervous about? Yes, they got good players, but the team is in rebuild mode already, and it's in the midseason. So I don't know that we'll get to much Penn State, much to both of our chagrin for the rest of the season.
I didn't even watch the game. I was like,
I didn't either.
I'm not that much of a glutton for punishment. I can't do it.
That's why I watched the first half on Saturday, and then I had to go pick up my son, and then I just never tuned back in. They got up by like 2 touchdowns by the time I got home. I was like, that was fun while it lasted.
Yeah.
So, but what I do want to talk about is the NFL trade deadline is tomorrow. And the NFL always hypes up the trade deadline, but it never lives up to the expectations of the NBA or even the NHL. It always kind of falls flat.
Or baseball. Yeah, MLB.
Yep. We have seen that change in recent years. We've seen bigger players go. I thought the Jalen Phillips trade was probably as big as it's going to get, but that's not what we like to do for a podcast. So for the podcast the rest of the night tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to go through each Rustbelt team, and we're going to find a trade or two that we would like each team to see make. And that could mean that they're buyers or sellers. If you're tuned in right now, go ahead and drop us some comment. Throw in what trade scenario would you like to see the Steelers, the Browns, or the Bills make as we approach the deadline here tomorrow. So let's start atop the AFC, and let's go to Buffalo first. I think it's safe to say, since they're sitting on top, that they're going to be buyers at the trade deadline. I'm going to go first in this one. Mm-hmm. And I think the Bills, of course, every wide receiver is going to be linked to the Bills at this point. Yeah. I saw Olave as a potential trade candidate to head there. I don't see New Orleans moving Olave, but hey, weirder things have happened. A.J. Brown would be I've heard, is a potential sneaky trade to Buffalo. I think that would be a game changer for them. But I'm going to go boring. I'm going to go boring here, and I'm going to go to the defensive side of the ball, and I want to see Buffalo go out, and I know this would be difficult, get out of the salary. The salary cap doesn't exist. I would love to see them go after a guy like Trey Hendrickson. And I think I said this in the offseason, they needed to make this trade, but I still think it's something that needs to happen. I get that they had the 3 sacks against Mahomes and the 15 quarterback hits, but that has not been the norm for Buffalo's defense. Joey Bosa can't be the front runner that he has been. I don't think he can sustain that. So I think if you could go out and get some defensive line help in the way of a Trey Hendrickson or, somebody like that who can be a game wrecker, that's what I want to see them do. Go send some mid-round picks for a guy like Trey Hendrickson, lock up that defensive side of the ball to match up with Josh Allen, and let's go Buffalo.
I think Trey Hendrickson would be unreal. I think the price tag would just be too high. And I do think the amount of money they already have invested in the defensive line. Joey, going back, Von Miller is supposed to be the home run go out and free agent prize.
Yeah.
And this past year, it was Bosa. He's supposed to be the guy that we're going to pay a lot of money to bring in and be the game wrecker. Trey Hendrickson almost would feel like the organization is admitting that they were wrong.
Yeah.
And a little bit too early to make that realistic for me. I just don't think you can get him for a mid-round pick, and I think you just have too much money locked up in the front seven. I wanted to go wide receiver, same as you. I've heard that Brian Thomas might be available. I'm not sure why. I do think Calvin Ridley actually might be available just because the Titans they're not great. He's a good player. He's getting up there. If they want to do right by him, he might be a mid-round pick option. Chris Olave, if one of the Saints receivers ends up getting traded, I think it's more realistic to see Rashid Shaheed
I agree.
Traded. But that said, the Bills already have their Rashid Shaheed. So that doesn't make any sense to me. Ridley would make sense. The other one that I thought would work was a secondary ad. I've seen Budda Baker listed as a potential trade target for the Bills, which sort of makes sense. They need another safety to play opposite Cole Bishop. Problem is, both those guys play the same position, so having 2 at one spot and no one at the other almost doesn't work. I don't know. You asked for one, and I gave you 5, as usual.
I got a couple. I got a couple too. I mean, I think those are all good ones too. My Hendrickson was my like I'm playing Madden sexy pick.
Exactly.
The top pick one of the top, as you're reading all these things and reading on X, all these people, the boring one that makes a ton of sense is a guy like Sebastian Joseph Day from Tennessee, 30-year-old defensive tackle. But you have Ed Oliver got thrown for, he's on, I think they put him on IR yesterday.
He might have. Yeah, he got hurt last week and didn't come back, and I don't think he played yesterday.
No, suffered a torn bicep, put him on IR. So they need that defensive line help. Well, obviously Hendrickson would be a big get. I think the wide receiver room would be a big hit. But Sebastian Joseph Day on a team who's probably looking to sell, get a little younger. He fits that plug-and-play veteran interior defender with an expiring contract, and he would absolutely shore up that run defense there. Honestly, in my prep this morning, I actually had I had Jalen Phillips as a guy I would have loved to see go to Buffalo. That would have been really tough for Miami to pull that trade because it's always tough to pull an in-division trade.
Not help Buffalo.
Yeah, so, but that would have been an intriguing one there as well. I do love Budda Baker. I think Budda coming to Seattle to be more of that pass defense to pair with Cole Bishop. I think that would be deadly. And Budda Baker can kind of play that safety linebacker hybrid and really kind of play in some of those sub packages for Buffalo too. I think would be a lot of fun over in Buffalo.
He's kind of a luxury. So like, I don't know, how does Buffalo feel? Do they feel that they can afford trading for a luxury, or would they trade something to shore up a position of need?
I mean, I don't know that. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I don't know that I see it as a luxury pick. I don't think they have. Cole Bishop has played the best game of his year. Taylor Rapp, I think his best football is behind him a little bit. I know he's still 27.
So you'd be looking for an upgrade over Rapp, and
yeah.
Baker doesn't play that spot. He plays where Cole Bishop does. So that's why that's
fair.
It's like you're basically having 2 strong safeties and no free safeties.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You talked me into it. I love seeing a guy like Budda Baker. I'd love to see him come to Pittsburgh. But Kyle Duggar seems to be filling that spot just fine. Got the game ball.
He's a poor man's Budda Baker.
Listen, it works. I'll take that price tag too. Speaking of, let's head over to Pittsburgh. And since they're sitting on top of the AFC North, I think we could agree that they're buyers as well. Would you say?
I hope so.
Me too. I'll let you go first with Pittsburgh. Who are some trade targets you might think they should acquire at the deadline?
They're all wide receivers. They need a number 2 wide receiver. Again, if we look at the Saints, everybody says Olave. I think Shaheed is sort of the one that would move. But again, therein lies the problem. They have Calvin Austin. He is their Rashid Shaheed. So having 2 guys play the same position doesn't work. You need an outside guy. That said, Brian Thomas fits. How much capital do you want to spend to go get a guy like him? I think Jacoby Myers is probably more realistic, a guy who can play on the outside. He takes away reps from, Roman Wilson. Oh, no. But then they're probably end up taking a tight end off the field to play a guy like Jacoby Myers, and they've had really good success in that 12 personnel as of late. So do they really want to do that? I know what you're going to get to. I know you're going to say Waddle.
No.
It's not going to happen. They don't have enough draft capital in the next 5 years to trade what Miami wants for Jalen Waddle. But I'll go back. I think Calvin Ridley is another one that makes sense. A guy that can play opposite DK, doesn't play out of the slot to take Calvin Austin off the field. It's going to be an interesting price tag, and it's kind of interesting because once again, who do you take off the field offensively in order to put that guy on?
Yeah.
And what's working right now?
Yeah. Yeah. So, yes, you see it in the show, Doc. I have Waddle in there because I was going to ask about Waddle.
Yeah.
I would send
$1+ is
King's ransom. I would send it. I would send it.
Would you?
I absolutely would send that because if this defense is supposed to be legit, I watched that first quarter and a half of the Steelers game, and I saw Washington drop a pass. I saw DK drop a pass. And I thought, man, if you ever needed, I tweeted this out. I said, if you ever need more evidence that the Steelers need wide receiver help, there it is. There's your first quarter and a half of why. The fact that they only won 27-20, there's exhibit B, because they do need to upgrade that. And of course, yes, you see the rumblings. Yeah, I would absolutely pay a first plus for Jalen Waddle, because I think Waddle is that game breaker for to pair with DK. I don't like Olave plays a similar role as DK, so that doesn't make sense to me, but to have Waddle kind of be that underneath guy, I'm fine with Jacoby Myers. My question is, if they were going to do it, why haven't they done it already? You can't tell me that the Jacoby Myers deal is expensive, right? So
No, I agree.
I'm curious of why that hasn't happened yet. Of course, they go out, and this is what I was pulling up pre-show. They go out and they pick up, they sign Marquez Valdez-Scantling because, Aaron Rodgers. But he's only going to the practice squad for now. Like, people are freaking out about it. He's only going to the practice squad for now. So I agree. Most of my picks that I have here for the Steelers are all wide receivers as well. I don't like the Shaheed deal because I think he plays, again, a stretch the field option like a DK. I like Calvin Ridley. And then, honestly, I might just go boring and a guy like Chauncey Golston, defensive line for the New York Giants, I think makes a lot of sense. The Giants aren't, they're playing fine. A guy like Golston doesn't move the needle for them. They have the defensive line depth, but I think the Steelers just need to keep plugging that hole in the middle of the line as the run defense, because the run defense is what gave you trouble last week. But or the week before, but they look great against being able to hold Jonathan Taylor to only 3.8 yards a carry.
Rushing offense in the NFL.
Yeah. So maybe they proved me wrong, but I think you got to go out and find a receiver. Of course, it's not going to be Waddle. It's going to be a Jacoby Myers. I think Ridley would be a great option there as well. So we'll be curious. It definitely needs to be a wide receiver. I'll say this: should be a wide receiver, but if they do make a trade for a wide receiver, it's not going to be anyone you're like, yeah, the Steelers should go to the Super Bowl. Yeah, exactly. It's going to be
gut feeling. What percentage chance do you think the Steelers actually have of trading for a wide receiver?
Better
than 50%?
Better than 50%. I was going to say 65.
Better than 75%?
No, I was going to say 65, and only because I think that Omar Khan would definitely, like, if I'm looking at just the GM, yeah, he's the guy that likes to wheel and deal. He is going to go make those deals like a Howie Roseman. I just don't see a lot of teams that are ready to give up wide receiver help. Outside of Jacoby Myers, what team is really out that's going to make a sell, right? The Dolphins aren't going to trade. Well, I'm looking at the standings here. The Dolphins are not going to trade Waddle, so there's nobody else really I'm looking at. The Jets are not going to trade Garrett Wilson. They don't have anybody else to go out and get. Bengals and Browns, forget about it. Texans and Titans, okay, Ridley, possibly. And then you got
Titans
the Raiders.
I think Ridley moves. I don't know where, but I think Ridley gets moved.
I would love to see it. I would love to see it come to Pittsburgh. I think Ridley and DK would be a fun one too. In the Giants, they're probably selling. Again, they don't have any wide receivers to sell. No, the Saints at 1-8, Falcons at 3-5. Falcons aren't going to sell. Saints, you're not going to be able to afford it. And other than that, you have the Cardinals sitting at 2-5. But the Cardinals, even as they're up 10-0 on Dallas right now. So I just don't think there's enough teams selling right now that you're really going to see them go out. So I think it's Jacoby Myers or bust.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know that they're going to pay for a Ridley. I think Tennessee's going to want, a third round pick
for Ridley. Fourth round pick. Fifth.
I was going to say third. I'd pay a fifth for Ridley, but
I'd pay a fourth.
Yeah, I don't know.
Give up a fourth. I don't know what the Steelers have draft capital wise. I'd give a fourth for Ridley all day.
Yep. Well, we'll see. Hey, let's do one more team, and we're going to go to the Browns. And in Browns news today, I did see Stefanski is relinquishing play calling duties to Reese. So that'll be Tommy Reese moving forward. Okay. So that'll be interesting to see how that shakes up. I have the Browns as selling. How about you?
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So here are, and I don't know that I necessarily have places for them to go, but here are some of those big contracts that I think Browns should absolutely go ahead and unload. First, David Njoku. Harold
hate to
Fannin
say it.
Jr.
He makes the most sense.
Fannin Jr. looks great right now, playing that tight end spot. And Njoku, I think you could get a 3rd-round pick for Njoku right now.
So I think Fannin was drafted with the intent of Njoku leaving because this is actually the last year of his contract. They paid him in 2022, 4-year contract, big money deal. I think he's earned it. I think he's done great. I think last year he was literally the only guy on the team that moved the needle, and Browns fans love him. He's had a bit of an injury trouble on and off, but he's always coming back. He's a tough guy. He can still play. And you said, I don't know where they go, but, the Packers had a big injury at tight end yesterday. Tucker Kraft, they're the 14th leading receiver in the NFL, I think, as a tight end. Big hole in that offense. We know the Shanahan system, of which McVay is a branch of, utilizes tight ends. So if the Packers, who just went and got Micah Parsons, are really looking at it and going, hey, I think we're all in, Njoku to Green Bay makes a whole lot of sense.
I like that a lot. I think that's huge. I think that makes too much sense. And then of course you have, the offensive vets. You have Teller, Petonio, Tevin Jenkins. Those are all ones.
Of the three, I think the fans, I think Petonio's going to retire a Brown. I think if you told him that you were going to trade him, I think he'd say, no, I'd rather retire than get traded to a different city. I think Teller, who hasn't been there as long, is sort of in the same boat as he's a fan favorite. Fans would be more mad that you're selling this specific player than moving on from a guy like Tevin Jenkins, who you just brought in the offseason.
Yeah. Yep. Anyone else that we haven't hit on the Browns that you think might be a trade target or a trade piece?
No, not really. They just got rid of the cornerback. I would have said Greg Newsome a couple of weeks ago, but that felt obvious, and they got a starting cornerback for him. They're not going to move off of Ward. I'm trying to think. They lost Grant Delpit. I don't think is going to go anywhere. Wide receivers, you don't have any to the trade. I don't think you're going to get rid of Judy. Running backs, Jerome Ford, possibly. Just
Ford, I
because
think this makes sense.
Just sort of like a weird third option. But then again, Tommy Reese is going to call plays. What does Tommy Reese think of Jerome Ford? Maybe he becomes the feature back because he's a better pass catcher than Quinshawn. I don't know.
I don't know.
That question.
Listen, it's not going to matter because the NFL trade deadline is always a dud. So it makes great podcast content, but I don't see a lot of it happening. The Browns are back in action Sunday at New York, MetLife Stadium against the Jets, 1 o'clock on CBS. All right, hey, that's going to do it for us today. Another great episode of Rustbelt Rundown. Again, make sure, send us messages. What do you think? What are some trade targets that you would want to see? If you missed any episode or any portion of this episode, go back, check the YouTube feed or anywhere you get your podcast. Signing off, I'm Nick Artman, signing off for Paul Adamzak. That's it. We're done. Have fun.